every single time we've done a Thanksgiving guide, the constant question is, I want to see what your Thanksgiving looks like, your ideal, most perfect, most amazing Thanksgiving. What is that? And after a few years, I think it's time. We've done Thanksgiving and holidays many ways. Cheapest, fastest, easiest, whatever. I've got on my Instagram and I keep asking, well, what do you want to see for Thanksgiving? But I appreciate your responses. I appreciate you connecting with me. Yes, I read my DMs. But at the end of the day, this is not about the fanciest meal or anything like that. It's about how I would make mine. So you can stop asking the question and let's make this, shall we?
This isn't just my ideal Thanksgiving. It's an unforgettable one. We have the greatest gravy, plenty of vegetables, the softest, most voluptuous buns, little salad to keep it healthy. Yes, we did cranberry sauce with champagne. Now listen up. We have to start with the pie because you do not want to be making pie the day of Thanksgiving, ever. So here's what you do. You can use your favorite pie crust if you already have one, but if you don't, get a food processor, and to that you'll add 1 1/4 cup or 187 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of fine sea salt, blitz that together till combined, then add 1/2 cup or 113 grams of cold unsalted butter cut into small cubes. Pulse that a few times until you get some rough pea-sized balls in there. Dump into a medium-sized bowl and then add 4 tablespoons or 60 grams of ice-cold water while constantly stirring with a fork, and my recommendation would be to go a tablespoon of water at a time. And once you get a rough dough, dump it on a work surface, lightly knead until you get a very, very, very rough dough. Wrap that dough in plastic wrap and chill in the fridge for 15 minutes. Now roll the dough into a 13-inch wide circle, transfer that to a 9-inch deep dish pie pan, adhere the dough to the pan, cut the excess, crimp the edges, cover the crust with parchment paper and add rice or dried beans to weigh it down, and place it into an oven that's been preheated to 400 Fahrenheit and bake for 20 minutes until pale and partially cooked. Now remove, reduce the oven temperature to 350 Fahrenheit, and we make the filling. First, small saucepan, add in 6 tablespoons or 85 grams of unsalted butter, heat over medium, and let it melt and cook, swirling occasionally for 3 to 5 minutes or until you get a beautiful brown butter. Now add your brown butter to a bowl, then add 3/4 cup or 135 grams of dark brown sugar, 3/4 cup or 240 grams of light corn syrup, and this is a little secret of mine, a 1/3 cup or 120 grams of Lyle's golden syrup, 1 vanilla bean pod worth of beans, and 1/2 teaspoon or 2 grams of fine sea salt. Then whisk in 3 whole eggs, 1 egg yolk, 2.5 tablespoons or 32 grams of high-proof bourbon. Whisk until thoroughly combined, sprinkle your pecans over the baked pie crust, and pour the sugar mixture over D's nuts. If you want it to look nice, flip over any pecans that have capsized and pop into a 350-degree oven for 50 to 55 minutes. Remove from the oven and cool completely. Now look, ideally, I'd recommend chilling in the fridge for a minimum of 4 hours, but overnight is usually the answer. Then you slice and serve with ice cream on top, and everybody will give you a little kiss. If you want pumpkin pie, I already have a recipe for that, link in the description, but let's talk about the main event, the turkey. And it's unlike anything you've ever seen. Sure, you could do it whole like this, but what if you could turn an entire turkey into one solid piece with no bones, almost like a porchetta? We're gonna debone this entire turkey, but leave it in one solid piece. We'll be using a ballotine method, but for the whole bird. First off, address your turkey. A little spank. With the back facing up, cut along one side of the spine, working your way down. You will need a very sharp knife for this, okay? As it starts to strip away, keeping your knife against the bone constantly, start stripping away the leg, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's a bone in the way. Fiddle your knife around, find the joint, cut that, the leg gets loose, then work your way back to the top, do the exact same thing with the wing. Disjoint it, and it should fall loose. Keep cutting that down. Again, don't leave any meat on the bone, keep your knife against the bone. Once you're just about to get to the tip of the breastbone, stop there and repeat the exact same process on the other side. Trim, 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 break down the leg, then the wing. Very nice. At this point, the entire cavity is exposed. Then you just carefully whittle your knife around, cut, and remove the cavity. Look at that. Now our little friend is a little flat. Next, we remove the leg bones. There's 2 bones hidden in there. You see that fat line on the thigh? That's gonna guide you to roughly where the bone is. Fiddle around with your finger, you'll feel that bone, and cut along the length of that whole bone to reveal it. And just scrape away the excess meat until the bone is fully revealed. Then work your knife underneath that bone and cut away from the thigh to fully release the thigh bone. You'll essentially do the same thing to the other side of the bone that runs through the drumstick. Run your knife along the whole drumstick, reveal that bone completely. Run your knife under, cut away, and release. Then work your way down to where it's connected. And once there's nothing but a wee bit of little meat connecting it, oh, so gentle, slice and free your bone. Now make sure you didn't leave any cartilage behind. Repeat the same on the other side. Bing, bop, bow. For the wings, you can remove the flats, and it's the same concept as the thighs. Cut along the bone, expose it, carefully fiddle it out, find the cartilage, and remove. Once that's all done, you're gonna notice some tendons still attached to where the drumstick was. Using pliers, remove each and every little tendon. This is very important to the tenderness of your turkey. Now, at this point, every single bone in this turkey has been removed. It's extremely flat and it looks a little weird, I'll be honest. Kind of jiggles funny. Now, onto the filling. First, take 5 garlic cloves, place them in a small pot, add just enough vegetable oil to cover, place over medium heat, and let that cook for about 3 to 4 minutes or until incredibly soft and a light golden brown. Let those cool completely, drain, and let those cool. Get 5 more garlic cloves, smash with the flat side of your knife, and then begin chopping together. Once they're rough chopped, add your confit garlic and chop together as finely as possible. Now at that point, you'll add 3 anchovy fillets, chopped together until as fine and pastified as possible. Add that to a bowl and add in 7 sage leaves finely chopped, 1 tablespoon or 5 grams of finely chopped thyme, half a cup or 12 grams of Italian flat leaf parsley finely chopped, a quarter cup or 25 grams of finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano, 1 teaspoon or 2 grams of fennel powder, 1 teaspoon or 2 grams of finely ground black pepper, salt to taste, mix together, then add, and a quarter cup or 50 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Mix together and you should have a beautiful paste. Now spread your paste all over your deflated turkey, season it to taste with salt and pepper. Now look, this is the harder part. Roll that turkey up as tightly as you can. My recommendation is make sure to roll legs and thighs to breast. Then using kitchen twine, tied together at multiple intervals across the entire roast, and you'll end up with a relatively cylindrical log. Now, if you want it more cylindrical, you can wrap it in plastic wrap, put it in the fridge. We didn't have time for that, and it's totally fine if you don't. Now that your turkey's prepped, let's make our buns, aka Hokkaido Parker House rolls. This is a bit of a riff off the buns in my cookbook, but with a couple things changed. Now, first we'll start with the tangzong. Small saucepan. Add in a quarter cup or 60 grams of whole milk, 2 tablespoons or 27 grams of water, then whisk in 2 tablespoons or 20 grams of all-purpose flour. Place that on the stove over a medium heat and continuously stir until it gets thicker than a Snicker. Now let that cool. Then separately, half a cup or 120 grams of water, mix together half a cup or 120 grams of milk, heat to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, then add 2.5 teaspoons or 10 grams of instant yeast, whisk together till dissolved, then add 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk, whisk together till combined. Now, bowl of a stand mixer, 4 cups or 600 grams of all-purpose flour, a third of a cup or 72 grams of granulated sugar, yes, a lot, trust me here, 1 3/4 of a teaspoon or 11 grams of fine sea salt, 3 grams of amylase, mix that together till combined, pop on your stand mixer, set to medium-low, while stirring, add your yeasty eggy milkies, followed by your cooled tangzong, and let them mix until you get a relatively smooth dough, about 2 to 3 minutes, then add in half a cup or 113 grams of softened unsalted butter. Let that mix for 5 minutes and you should have a beautifully smooth, supple dough. If it's too runny, then add extra flour about a tablespoon at a time until it's workable, but don't add too much. Now roll your dough into a ball, place into a greased bowl, cover with plastic wrap, and rise for 1.5 to 2 hours or until plump. This rising portion can be done overnight in the refrigerator. Yay! Now once it's risen, degas your dough by punching all the yeasty farts out of it, and then toss it into a lightly floured counter. Separate that into 16 even pieces, weighing around 69 grams each. Nice. Roll each piece into toit balls and place into a greased 9x9 baking pan, evenly spaced apart in rows of 4. Cover that with greased plastic wrap and proof at room temp for 20 to 40 minutes or until doubled and plump. Brush with an egg wash consisting of 1 egg plus 1 teaspoon of water, beaten together, and bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 17 to 20 minutes or until beautifully golden brown and a toothpick piercing the center comes out clean. While that's baking, you should make the following. You see this beautiful golden shimmering liquid? MSG garlic butter. Small sauce pot. Add in half a cup or 113 grams of salted butter. Anyway, place it on a medium heat. As that's melting, add a generous pinch of MSG. Now, once that's completely melted, cut off the heat and add in 2 cloves of very finely chopped garlic. Now, once your hot rolls emerge from the oven, brush generously with your garlic butter. If you use all of it, I promise ain't nobody gonna be complaining. And then just let those cool. Now, let's talk about our potatoes. We're gonna make the finest mashed potatoes you have ever seen. And guess what? It only takes 4 ingredients. Potatoes, butter, milk, salt. That's it. Now, start with 4 pounds or 1.8 kilos of small Yukon Gold potatoes. The smaller, the better. Clean them off and place all those into a large pot of water, bring to a boil, and cook just until soft, about 35 to 40 minutes. Once your potatoes are soft, remove them from the pot and immediately peel your potatoes, either using a small paring knife, be careful, or peeling with your bare hands. If you don't have asbestos hands, that's okay. Now cut your potatoes into rough chunks and pass through a food mill, then place on a stove over medium-low. You're gonna add gradually 2 cups or 448 grams of cold cubed unsalted butter. We're gonna add it in 3 to 4 parts. So first add a quarter of your butter, stir that in until melted, another quarter, stir till melted. See where I'm going here? Once all of your butter is added and it's getting nice and smooth and luscious, you're then gonna add a quarter cup to a half cup, or around 70 to 118 milliliters of warm whole milk. Whisk that in aggressively. Be sure to check it for consistency. If it's a nice consistency now, then don't add any more milk. If it needs more, then add more. It depends on the starch level of your potatoes. Season that generously with salt to taste, mix together, and optionally you can pass this through a Tammy if you want it ultra smooth, but it already is beautiful. I mean, look at this. I'll tell you right now, these might be the greatest potatoes you ever taste in your entire life. It is what it is. Now just keep those bad boys warm. Moving on to a guanciale cornbread stuffing. First, you'll need about 12 cups of cubed cornbread. You know, do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. Place those into a large bowl. Toss with about 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You know, just enough to lightly coat it. Pop onto a sheet tray and bake at 350 Fahrenheit for about 20 to 30 minutes or until dried out and lightly golden brown. Think sort of crouton vibes. Now, in a large pan, add 6 ounces of guanciale and cook over medium-low heat till the fat starts to render. Increase to medium and cook till crisp and browned. Then add in 2 rough chopped stalks of celery, 1 diced yellow onion, and 5 cloves of thinly sliced garlic. Season to taste with salt, add in half a cup or 120 grams of unsalted butter, and saute until just softened. Now separately in a sauce pot, you're gonna add 2.5 to 3 cups or 600 to 720 milliliters of chicken stock, a quarter cup or 60 milliliters of shiradashi, and 10 leaves of sage finely chopped. Heat that just until steamy hot. Should smell lovely. Add your cornbread croutons to a large bowl, followed by your guanciale mix, your broth, 2 eggs, and toss together until thoroughly hydrated. If you need to add extra melted butter, hey, I'm not stopping you. Pop that into a 9x13 baking pan and bake at 350 Fahrenheit. Cover with foil for 30 to 40 minutes. Wait, Josh, that's not an oven. That is correct. Now, moving on to the rest of our sides. First, a very easy Caesar. It's more traditional to do it by chopping it all, but we're gonna make it fast. Blender. To that, you'll add 1 tablespoon or 18 grams of Dijon mustard, 5 cloves of garlic, 4 anchovy fillets, the juice of 1 lemon, and half a cup or 50 grams of finely grated Parmigiano Reggiano, and 2 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of water. Now blend that on medium, then increase to high. Once you get a nice smooth paste, you're gonna drizzle in 1.25 cup or 300 grams of vegetable oil. You should use all of your vegetable oil, so if it gets too thick, add more, then add just a tiny splash of water to loosen until you've added all of your vegetable oil. Take it out, place it in a bowl, season with additional salt and black pepper to taste, and that's your dressing. It's it. It's really easy. The greens will literally just be 2 heads of romaine rough chopped and 2 heads of butter lettuce, just carefully separated. Croutons are really easy. You can buy them if you want, but I'll tell you right now, I haven't bought croutons in like my entire life. Just take a loaf of crusty bread, cut it into cubes as big or as small as you want, place it into a large bowl, generously coat with olive oil and some flaky salt to taste. Toss together, place it on a baking sheet and bake at 350 until crisp, golden brown. And I mean, come on, you know how to serve a salad. You put the leaves in the bowl, put in your croutons. Before you add any dressing to anything ever, always add additional salt and potential lemon juice to taste, then add your dressing and toss. I promise you, it is the key to making the greatest salad of your life, no matter what. Little extra salt, in many cases, makes it better. Now for a nice maitake mushroom with chimichurri. You're gonna need 2 pounds or 900 grams of maitake mushrooms. Cut them into 3/4 inch thick slices, sort of like this. Get a large pan, add just enough vegetable oil to coat the bottom. Once it's ripping hot, add medium high. Add in your mushrooms in one single layer, season to taste with salt to taste, and add something on top to weigh it down. Sear for about 2 minutes, and sear on the other side. Once they're tender and crispy, remove and repeat with the rest. Chimmy is basic. Small bowl, 2 red Fresno chilies finely chopped, half a cup or 12 grams of finely chopped parsley, 3 cloves of grated garlic, half a cup or 120 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil, the juice from 1 lemon, salt to taste, and stir together. It's not a traditional chimichurri, but there's a vibe to it. You put the mushrooms on a plate, you cover them with the sauce. Very, very easy. You can also add some additional lemon zest on top if you want to be a little zesty. Onto a luxurious yet simple cranberry sauce. First, medium saucepan, add 12 ounces or 340 grams of frozen or fresh cranberries, followed by 1.5 cups or 300 grams of sugar, 1 cup or 260 milliliters of orange juice, and 1 cup or 260 milliliters of a nice quality champagne. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but get something decent. The flavor of the champagne matters. Bring it to a boil and boil for 10 to 15 minutes or until reduced and the sauce is thickened. Pop into a blender and blend until as smooth as physically possible. Pass through a fine mesh strainer, cool completely, and that's your cranberries. Next, honey gochujang carrots. You're gonna need 4 pounds or 1,800 grams of carrots, cut on a bias, pop into a large bowl, add half a cup or 170 grams of honey, 3 tablespoons or 50 grams of gochujang, 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of ground ginger, 4 cloves of garlic, finely chopped, a 1/3 cup or 75 grams of butter melted. Mix together, pour over your carrots, salt and pepper to taste, toss until thoroughly combined. Pop into a baking sheet and bake at 425 Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes or until lightly caramelized and cooked through to your liking. Now while it's baking, we're gonna make a quick curry fried shallot. Take 4 shallots, cut them about 1/8 of an inch thick. I would recommend using a mandolin so that they're evenly sized. If they're not, then they're not gonna fry evenly. Now add 3 cups or 720 milliliters of vegetable oil. Now this shouldn't go past halfway up, so if it's past halfway up, you need a larger pot. And set over medium-high heat while constantly stirring that. They're gonna begin to fry, they're gonna begin to sizzle, do all their little thing. Once that bubbling starts to die down and they're teetering towards golden brown, remove, drain on paper towels, then immediately season or taste with salt and a curry powder of your choice. Toss together and those are your shallots. Now to serve these, it's very basic. They go on a serving tray and you can add as many of your crispy shallots or as little as you want. I like a little on the side, but hey, throw it on, people are gonna like it. Now, once you're around 2 hours from serving your food, dedicate the oven to your turkey. Get it heated to 475 Fahrenheit, pat your turkey skin completely dry, then give it a little rub with some extra virgin olive oil, just enough to coat the outside. Season and taste with salt and pepper, pop it in your oven for 15 minutes, then reduce the heat to 325 and cook for 1 to 1.5 hours or until the internal temperature is 155 degrees Fahrenheit. Pull it out and let it rest for 25 minutes. Now, while all that's going on, you got a few more things to make. First off, the gravy. This can also be made a day ahead, but it also doesn't take that long. Get a medium saucepan, add 2.5 cups or 600 milliliters of chicken or turkey stock, half a cup or 120 milliliters of shiradashi, 10 dried shiitake mushrooms, a 1/4 cup or 2 grams of bonito flakes. Heat over medium-high till very hot and steamy. Cut off the heat and steep for 10 minutes. Pass that through a sieve and wring out your mushrooms. Now, in a separate pot, add a 1/4 cup or 57 grams of unsalted butter. Heat over medium heat. Once that's melted and bubbling, add in a 1/4 cup or 37 grams of all-purpose flour and cook for about 30 seconds. Then add in all of your liquid, stir until thickened, cut off the heat, and a little tiny pinch of MSG and salt to taste, and add 3 cloves of very finely chopped garlic and 3 sprigs of rosemary that's been lightly bruised by hand. Whisk, steep for 5 to 10 more minutes, and pass one last time through a sieve. This gravy will make you say, good Lord have mercy. Now let's talk about these Brussels sprouts. Nobody likes them, right? If you make them like this, no one will be immune. First, you'll need about 1 pound or 450 grams of Gruyere cheese grated. Pop that into a blender, and then separately, heat up 3 cups or 720 milliliters of heavy cream until steamy hot. Pour that into your blender along with a little salt to taste. Cover and blend on high until as smooth as possible. Pour that into a whipped cream canister, tie the lid on tight, add 1 charger, screw it on, give it a nice shake, and you have a Gruyere foam. Now for the sprouts themselves, you'll need about 2 to 3 pounds of Brussels sprouts, cut in half or quartered depending on their size, and then you're simply just getting a large pot filled with vegetable oil, about halfway, heated to 350 Fahrenheit, and fry your Brussels sprouts in batches until crispy and golden brown like these. Don't try to fry all these Brussels sprouts at once, do it in several batches, and it'll be 3 to 4 minutes per batch. Now while those are frying, we're gonna make a simple apple Castelvetrano olive relish. Medium bowl, 1 to 2 green apples depending on their size, slice on a mandolin, and then finely dice, followed by 3/4 of a cup or 102 grams of rough chopped pitted Castelvetrano olives, 3/4 of a cup or 102 grams of crushed roasted pistachios, the peel of 1 preserved lemon, brunoise, remove the peels, and dice the peels as finely as possible. Salt to taste, 1 tablespoon or 10 grams of lemon juice, and 1/4 cup or 60 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil, plus more to taste. Stir, and you have your relish. Now once your sprouts are done, pop them into a bowl, season to taste with salt and lemon juice to taste, and plating is really easy. Put your sprouts on a big old serving tray or a plate, generously fill it up with your Gruyere foam in randomized places. I like to actually serve this with the ISI on the table, and people can add more Gruyere foam to their heart's desire. Spread your relish across the top, add some parsley for garnish, and that's a Brussels sprout you'll never forget. Now we have before us arguably my most ideal Thanksgiving meal I can possibly think of. Is there more to this? Could we do more pies? Could we add more of this and that? Well, that's a never-ending thought process. But I'll tell you one thing, taste testing time is not.
Wow, we got a meal in front of us. There's a nice mix of Joshi Poo and traditional. I'm gonna start with dessert because you never know. At this point in time in this economy, we could all die at any moment, so. Oh, hello.
Very
Bye-bye. Ooh, the pie is good. Carrot's good.
I want the salad. Love salad.
Caesar salad's acidic. It's got the anchovy. Hi, sweetie.
That's yum.
Cornbread, a little bit of sweetness, but it's also savory. All right, next one.
Cranberry.
How is it so straight? It's so straight when he does that.
You can cook, boy.
You see, the beauty of this is it's balanced. It doesn't have any of that bitterness that this stuff has. And you get a little bit of champagne. That's okay, all right.
Very good, Papa.
Oh, Jesus. Let me just say something about this turkey. It's the roast that everybody really wants during Thanksgiving. There will never be anything better than this, you understand? We almost forgot these. Robuchon potatoes. They're sort of my version of Robuchon. First off, notice how there was no noise. Wait, why are you over here?
Because we just talked about you giving this one to me.
Oh, okay.
Those are better than last year's potatoes.
You know these. These are just a little different. They're a little softer. They're a little bit more like a Hawaiian roll, but a Hawaiian roll on steroids. The mushroom, listen, you ain't never had a mushroom like that. There's almost a steak quality to it. And last but not least, a Brussels sprout, the one item that everybody skips. Let me tell you something, you ain't never gonna skip these goddamn Brussels sprouts. These are some crazy. With all that being said, this is my ideal Thanksgiving. You asked for it, you got it. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something, I don't do that anymore. I kept doing it and I was like, what am I doing? What do I usually say? Oh, B-roll. Am I okay?